Just drive.
More
Yeah, I'll
meetings,
do it.
more phone calls.
Hasn't been too bad yet.
See it written.
Right, we're good now.
Yeah. Renton is.
Yeah, the other day I was scrambling to get here.
Well, maybe they expanded.
It's okay. Situation, but.
That's ever, yeah, that's where we were, it's north, yeah, that's the largest one.
Oh.
Well, here it is.
Would that change sashio? Yep.
Right about it.
I didn't want to grab my.
Do you want-
You know, I love.
Yeah,
I like those. Oh, yeah, that was cool, yeah.
Do you want
He
mine?
couldn't take you inside. If you don't want. No,
I
different
don't-
kind
I
of.
don't like that.
Yeah.
Probably needs to pick your choice in life.
I don't know how much more.
All girl break.
Board behavior.
One minute.
Throwing, throwing food.
I don't care.
Bye.
I don't know why, it tells me no.
6:59:04.
I just want to be a worse influence on you than I already.
Mine says 6:59 as well.
Mine does now.
Thank you very much.
We're standing up for the flag salute. We're in.
You're right.
30 seconds.
30 seconds. You agree?
Not at all.
Are we hooked up?
My jacket back on.
Comms in.
Been looking forward to this.
Cold?
Wrapped on my legs. I feel this cold breeze.
It's cold in here.
That was
We can adjust the heat.
Make us
Awesome.
comfortable, okay?
We're gonna need you to do better. What time?
All right.
One, go.
We'll call the meeting to order for our February school board meeting. We'll start with the flag salute because I think our friends from Rex Elementary are here today. So come on in, guys. We'll do the flag salute. Parents, come on in, come as close as you want, take photos, do all the things.
Go that way. And I'll get you around the other side.
We were in the middle.
Come up here, guys.
Yeah, we
Yeah, if you're here.
Come all the way in, come all the way in front. You can take pictures. You can.
You want to come right down here?
Oh.
Okay. Okay, is that it?
Yeah, we're small. We're small, but we're mighty.
All right.
Wherever you want.
Wherever you want, try to get out of your way.
Okay. And like, we're gonna stand there.
All right.
Yeah.
We're gonna- As long as you need to.
Hey, let's turn and do the pledge
Where's
first.
the back chair? Hey, Jeff, you want to move that black chair, please? I'm sorry. This one?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Move in just a little bit.
Put your hand on the phone. Makes me feel inside. And I supposed to be is mine. Makes me tired. Oh, that's true.
Tell you who they are, so go down and just tell them your name. These are all fourth graders at Rex Elementary. Yes, say it loud.
Rory, David, Brennan, Andrew, Dominic, Isaiah.
And they're all fourth graders at Rex Elementary. Thank you.
You want to introduce yourself to Patty?
And
You
you want me to tell them who I am? Okay, I am Patty Simmons, and I'm a music teacher at Rex Elementary.
She does a fabulous job.
Thank
So we're
you.
so
Thank you. Lots of bravery out of fourth graders to stand up here in a small group. It's not a very big room, so.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Bye, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Great job. So proud.
Good job, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Got a couple pictures.
Best part.
I have to get Barb's next.
Great way to start off a board meeting.
Put you two fire each other. I know.
All right, we'll start with 1.3 president's announcements. So I do have some announcements. Wanted to just say, I hope everyone, students, staff, parents, all had good conferences 2 weeks ago. And just really wanted to thank our parents for taking the time to engage in the education process with their students. It's really important. So thank you guys for coming out and engaging with teachers. Campus FCCLA competed in districts. They have been doing phenomenal. They took home 3 gold medals, 5 silver medals, and 3 bronze medals. 8 teams qualified for state. They just continue to grow, and it's so awesome to see how good they're doing. So congratulations to FCCLA. I can't remember if last month we talked about our Golden Apple winner.
I don't think so. We have another one that happened Friday too. So
Okay, so I'll talk about Catherine Clark Brooks. She's a first grade teacher at Nelson. Congratulations to her on that achievement. She was a Golden Apple winner. Our HMS Hawk singers in February got to go sing at the Thunder hockey game, and they sounded phenomenal. So congratulations to them. And last but not least, I wanted to talk a little bit about Swim with a Wish, because Swim with a Wish is in their 12th year. They had 5 students that participated from campus and 1 Clearwater co-op student. Derby, Wichita North, swim at campus, and Salina South, Central, and Wichita Northwest will swim next weekend. The teams raised $30,000, a little over $30,000 so far. That will fund 3 wishes in our area. Mr. Seeley hopped in the pool and got to swim a mile, I don't want to say a lap, a mile with our students, 71 laps actually, as a support mile. And it was also great to see Ryan Howerton, Mr. Howerton. He is a campus teacher, but he was one of the original 5 at the very first event of Swim with a Wish. So it's great to kind of see that full circle moment come back. On a personal note, I really just want to thank all the donors and students and staff that participated. My family, and there's several other families that are here tonight that benefited from Make-A-Wish. And so it's a really awesome organization, but they can't do what they do without any donors. So just a big thank you to Steve Crum and Kelly Kennedy, who organize this every year, and for the students and staff who come together to do it. If you'd like to donate, I'm supposed to tell you this part. If you'd like to donate, $20 will get you a t-shirt. Additional $10 on top of that gets you another t-shirt. And so you can donate at their donation page, which is wish.org/MOCAN. It's MOKAN, like Missouri and Kansas put together, /swim. So if you'd like to donate, $20 gets you a t-shirt. So go support them, support a great cause, and thank them very much for all the good work that they're doing over there. I think that's it for me.
All right. Would add one more. Friday, we found out that Travis Bourne, science teacher at Campus High School, was also recognized the Golden Apple Award and got to be recognized on TV. So congratulations to Mr. Bourne. I'd also add, while we're talking about it, Dr. Marvin Miller was recognized as the state special education teacher of the year through his professional organization, and had an opportunity to go to that banquet last week, and Marvin did a phenomenal job. I want to congratulate him as well. So
Congratulations to both of them.
a few other items. I'm going to turn it over first to Miss Macias, who will cover our 2-6 Wonderful recipients.
Thank you. Okay, first up tonight, we're going to call Carla Wolf. So if Carla will come up. Carla Wolf was nominated by a staff member, Tristan Cassidy, in her building. And Tristan wrote, "Miss Wolf always goes above and beyond for our students and staff at Ruth Clark Elementary. She shows up each day with a fresh look on how to better service this next generation of students. Ruth Clark is better served because of Carla Wolf." Thank you. Get your picture taken. While she gets her picture taken, Angie Carricker is going to come up and present our next nomination.
Stand up. I am standing up.
Craig, will you come join? So Craig McDaniel, the principal at Tri-City Day School, was nominated by Tanya Nelson, the secretary. She said, "Mr. McDaniel has brought his brand of fantastic to Tri-City Day School. The students are his #1 concern, and he has added many incentives to make sure the students are successful. Mr. McDaniel has added field trips and activities to include places and events many of our students would never experience if not for his planning." Super Colts was amazing, right? On Friday. Mr. McDaniel is also caring and understanding with his staff, giving Tri-City Day School a wonderful work environment. One of our students' favorites are his daily announcements and his dad jokes. Do you have a dad joke for us?
Yeah.
I know, I put you on the spot.
What do you get when you cross big old gorilla and a really big creature? They go, "I don't know, but I'm not cleaning the cage."
Congratulations.
Our next nomination for a 2-6 Wonderful Award is Tim and Susan Norton, and Mr. Hirsch is going to come up and present for them.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen of the board, we want to take this opportunity to recognize Tim and Susan Norton for their work on the first fundraiser for our Haysville Education Foundation, our Barn Bash. which was a tremendous success, was held back in November. I want to tell a short story. 2.5 years ago, we were at a conference in Kansas City. Jen Bain and Dr. Norton and I were sitting at a table, and it was in the evening. And Dr. Norton, at that time, volunteered. I say that. Dr. Norton volunteered to take on and grow the foundation. We already had one in place, and she took it upon herself to organize, put together our education foundation. And this year we held our first fundraiser, which was the Barn Bash. We had to turn people away. There were over 250 people that pre-bought tickets, and we had to stop about a week before because we were full. And she elected her husband to serve. There you go. To serve as the president of the foundation. And I will tell you, Tim, as you know, anytime he gets involved, it's going to be first class, and it's going to be go 100 miles an hour, and you're going to get all kinds of support from people, of all the people he knows. And between the two of them, I think we put on a great event for our very first one that will only grow to continue to be better. And all of the money that they raised is going back to a classroom to support teachers, innovative ideas, students in need, and staff. So with that, I want to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Norton, Dr. Susan Norton, and Mr. Tim Norton for all of the work that they have done to take the foundation to the next level. So with that, thank you so much. Greatly appreciate everything that you've done. It's been a pleasure, and I'll give you this. And I know Mr. Norton here would like to share a few facts with you about the event.
I'm a recovering politician, so I've never backed away from a microphone in my life. But first of all, I have to tell you, the Norton family holds public service in very high regard. So thank you for what you do. Public service is not an easy gig. The slings and arrows of outrageous fortune are on you all the time. And I often told Susan when she was on the school board that what a potion that you have to deal with. You're dealing with people's taxes and their money and their financial means, and you're dealing with their kids. And trying to do what's right for both sides of that equation is not very easy. So my heart and my head and our support will always be behind all of you for what you do in this setting, because it is not easy work and it is valuable work for a community. I mean, this is a community that took on 5 of my kids. And I'm forever, you know what I'm talking about, Tasha. And I'm forever thankful because they've all turned out spectacular. They've got great lives. We've got wonderful grandkids. So having said that, let's move on to the Education Foundation. I was voluntold that I was going to help out, but it was an easy ask because, like I said, our heart is in public service. So we took it on. We put together a board and a structure. I helped do a strategic plan. We came up with a mission. We elected officers, and we set out on creating a signature event. We knew that Andover and Derby and Goddard and Mays all had foundations, but they had events, they had fundraisers, they had things that put money in the coffer so you could really do something. And the Barn Bash came out of that. And as Jeff said, the first year was beyond our expectations. We got to 250, 260 people and said, this is getting too big. We can't handle it with our small little volunteer group. Now, having said that, the plan for this next year is 500 people. There won't be a dance floor. It's going to be full of tables and people spending money and having a good time. This year, we thought we'd raise $25,000 to $30,000. We raised over $53,000. And that's clear. That's not, we paid for everything before we even got there. So silent auction, live auction, fund a need, cow patty bingo, all brought in money that evening to $53,000. Proud to say now we've got over $75,000 in the bank. We sent out the grant proposals to teachers and educators in the district. We reviewed them, and very shortly we're going to be giving out almost $40,000 in teacher grants to the district. Very insightful. And if you ever wonder whether your teachers and educators think about being outside the box for what they can do for their kids, you should read some of these grant applications. They're doing their research. They're trying to figure out how to stimulate good education in kids that maybe can't catch a break when they come to school. They need something extra to get them through the day, and they're working hard to do that. So we're proud to be able to do that. We're going to be announcing those and going to the schools, presenting checks within the next couple of weeks. But the good news is it doesn't end there. We're dedicated for at least one more cycle. Okay, I'm the boss now. She rolling her eyes at me. Thanks, Greg. I've always appreciated your support.
You got my vote.
Yeah. But we're going to keep doing it. We're going to make the barn bash this next year bigger and better so that it perpetuates itself for years and years and years after we've moved on, because it's that important. You know, the school district, we understand school finances. We understand that you can't do everything you want to do. So you need that ancillary money on the side that can fill in some gaps, that can do some things that you're not called on to fund, but that can make a difference in a classroom, can make a difference with a teacher, and certainly can make a difference in the learning of a kid that maybe is at risk, that struggles, that has family situations that aren't the best, that, you know, layer on a roadblock that they need to get past. So we're happy with the recognition, but I can tell you, we didn't do any of it for a certificate. We did it because we care for this community and we care for all of you with what you do. Keep up the good work, keep the nose to the grindstone, and do what's right for our community. We really appreciate it. Thanks.
Dr. Norton, thank you again for all that you've done. Few more items real quick. Want to update the board on a few. First of all, WSU, I met with them earlier this month, WSU Haysville, and they are no longer going to offer classes at their facility down here. They are, however, going to continue to offer college credit to our campus students on site at campus. We're working with their director to provide him with an office space at campus. He wants to grow more opportunities for kids there. So we are going to continue that relationship. They're not going to continue offering classes outside of campus high school. When I visited with Dr. Young, he indicated their primary focus right now was downtown and the new medical complex and the commitments there. So I want to let you know that. With that comes some open space for our district, the WSU facility. And we are starting a committee. Our first meeting is this Thursday. Barbara will represent the board on that committee. Thank you for agreeing to serve on that. And we're going to look at how do we best utilize that space, and whatever domino effect that causes, how do we then follow up with space and utilizing that to the best of our ability. So we'll keep you posted on that. Our first meeting's Thursday. They're going to go tour the WSU facility. They're going to tour Hemp Hill, and they're going to tour this facility. One of the charges the board has given me is an early childhood center, and I think long-term we have a plan for that. We can't do it with capital outlay. We don't have the funds for that, but as we explore opportunities to other ways to fund it, one option is to move PAT into this facility, which would give them a lot of space to grow, and they are growing, and they're doing a phenomenal job, as I put in my memo last week to you, the number of contacts they have. And then that would open up obviously the south end, and we're looking at ideally having all of the district office staff under one roof, so it's more convenient for parents, more convenient for staff. So that could mean a possible move from Hemp Hill, from SPED over to the WSU facility, along with the office that's housed here. Again, those are just early thoughts. We're going to put this committee together. We're going to come up with the best use for that space, but I want you to be aware of that. Next, on March 7th, we're going to interview for the Rex principal position. Tasha and Jen have both volunteered to represent the board on that. We're also going to have 4 individuals from Rex that will serve on that, teachers. And We will have the district advisor. We have 2 principals, elementary principals that will serve on that committee as well. The applications close on the 3rd, which is Sunday. So we'll have a better idea that time how many applicants we had. We did open and extend that because we did not have a lot of early applicants with experience. So we did extend that opening. Then I want to let you know that Craig Ryan has been, and Jeremy has served on this committee, has been working with our ADs and a group of coaches earlier last week to talk about summer pay for activities. And there's currently no process for that. And so Craig and his team with ADs and coaches are working on a process, and we'll get that rolled out and we'll provide you an update on that in March as what that looks like. Want to let you know per board policy that on Sunday, April 21st, the CHS Drama Department has requested permission to use the facility for an afternoon matinee. Target would be our retirement aged community who prefer an earlier show than a later show. And they said they feel like they could put more people in the seats by doing it. So they're going to do an early show on Sunday. Just want to let the board know that. And then we have set the date for the community retreat. Time to start thinking about summer and planning for the next school year. So right now the date is set for July 31st. That is a Wednesday. We're still working on locations and all that kind of stuff and content, but I want to let you know so you can put that on your calendar, July 31st. And if you know anybody that's contacted you that would like to be invited to that, please make sure that you shoot me an email and we'll make sure they get on the list of invitees. But again, that will be our summer community retreat. And that's all that I have.
Moving on to 1.5, the Campus High School Student Council report. So Jeanette. Hi.
Good evening, everyone. How's everyone doing today? Good. I only have 3 items that I will be discussing with you all tonight. The first one is staff appreciation. This took place 2 weeks ago during conferences. A few students who are in Stuco stayed after on Sunday afternoon and Monday afternoon to give out a few items in the teachers' mailboxes. So for Monday, we gave out coffee shop coupons, which if many of you who do not know, campus has a coffee shop, and we gave out coupons that was 1 free drink per teacher and staff. And then Tuesday we gave out granola bars and water, and then Wednesday we gave out donuts in the morning, so no one had to stay Tuesday after school. The next thing that I will be discussing is our middle school visits. So every year Stuco puts on a group that they go to HW and HMS. This year we're going March 5th and 6th. HW is at March 5th and HMS is March 6th, and it's our freshman recruitment. So we go out and a group of us go out and we encourage our freshmen or incoming freshmen to try out for Stuco, and we inform them what it is and why they should be involved. It's always a great experience. I know everyone at first is a little bit shy to come up and get applications, but it's always good to see. You can instantly tell when kids are interested, and it's always good to interact with them beforehand. And the last thing I have on my list is Gem 5K. This year will be taking place on April 20th on Saturday, and it starts at Riggs Park. Our beneficiary this year is Alana Whitney. She is a Spanish teacher currently at HW. And the email will be sent shortly for registration purposes. So if you or anybody you know would like to participate in the event, you don't have to run it. You can walk or just donate. It would be greatly appreciated. And that is all that I have for you all tonight. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Thank you for the breakfast.
Oh, yeah, of course. Thank you. Of course.
Got some great makeup tips afterwards. So I was
Good. I really love that about our board. Everybody's very different, but they all provide something. So it's really great to interact with everyone. All right. Well, I hope you all have a great rest of your evening.
Thanks, Jeanette.
All right, board, moving on to 1.6, new and good. Does anyone have any new and good we haven't talked about so far tonight?
While I was at the FCCLA meeting before I came here, Brant got elected to state officer. He's now the VP of Public Relations, and he will be up for a national position.
That's
So,
awesome.
Wonderful.
yes. It was Brant. Mhm. Yes, sorry. I just assume everybody knows who he is.
And he's just a junior, right?
Uh-huh. He's got one more year.
Yeah,
That's
that's
awesome.
great.
Yes, he's very excited. He was anxiously awaiting the email, kept making Brooke check and check. And check. I will, absolutely.
Anything else, board? Okay, moving on to 1.7. I don't think we have any amendments to the agendas, just so looking for a motion to approve the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second. Motion by Courtney, second by Jeremy. All in favor? Seven zero.
You have to count.
No, I said. Yeah, okay. Well, last time there were only four and all, and.
Oh, yeah.
There were only four last time. So I had to remember like, oh, there are really seven of us. All right. I don't think we have anybody on the agenda for district patron personnel time. So 2.1 hearing of scheduled district. I don't believe there's anybody on the agenda. If there are any district visitors that would like to speak to the board. All right, nothing there. 3.0 consent agenda. That will be 3.1 to 3.8.
Can I cover a couple of things on
You bet.
there, if I may? First, we'd like to point out 3.6 early graduation request. This has been something that's happened in our district for many, many years. You have students who graduate early. It was presented to me this year and we got to looking at board policy, and a piece of it is I have to approve the recommendation and it has to be approved by the board. So I know Debbie sent you those dockets last week. My recommendation is that you do approve those early graduations for those students. So just wanted to share that with you, as that will be a new process that we will follow as we get those early graduations, just so you're aware as to the why.
Anything else?
Nope, that's all. I'm sorry.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second,
I will second.
you have a question?
Nope.
Okay.
We just wanted to step in since Susan is not here to say it any
Oh, yes,
longer, but
please.
to say thank you for all the gifts and grants and all the generosity that we receive
All
here
the
at the
angel
district.
funds.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Okay, so good job. Okay, so there's a motion by Jeremy, a second by Kelly,
Correct.
to approve the consent agenda. All in favor? Opposed? That's a 7-0 vote. 4.0 treasurer's report. Craig.
All the bills are paid. We've had a little bit of illness here within the business office, so we got it out and everything is good. So yeah, everything is paid off, so we're good.
Fantastic. Any discussion, board? To approve the treasurer's report?
Make a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
Second.
There's a motion by Tasha and a second by Courtney to approve the treasurer's report. All in favor? Opposed? 7-0. Reports 5.0. We'll start with C, which is summer exploration and enrichment. Jennifer Reed.
Jack it off. Yeah.
I'm the wrong person.
Just, it might turn up a little bit.
Hello, I'm going to go over our district summer exploration and enrichment program. We started this program 2 years ago, so we are beginning our third summer with this program. Last summer, we extended the program from K5 to K8. So our stats for last year, we had 273 students indicate interest, and of those 273, 202 attended. Again, this was our first year expanding to the 6-8 realm. So we didn't have a whole lot of middle school students, but we had 22, which was a good start. And we had 180 elementary. So that grew a lot from our first year. There's about 15 days of classes. We had 17 sessions or 17 certified staff and 2 classified staff members that run that program. And it runs through the month of June. So here are some of the sessions offered in K2. I'm not going to read all those to you, but they had a lot of different areas that they could work with. And the way summer exploration and enrichment goes is there's 3 hours. They go to school from 8:30 to 11:30. They get there at 8 and they have time to eat breakfast. And then they have classes from 8:30 to 11:30, and then they eat lunch before they leave. And transportation is available for those that live outside the 2.5-mile radius. But during those 3-hour session or 3 hours, it's 1 hour session. So they get 3 1-hour sessions because we feel like they're actually about 50 minutes. Then they can kind of dabble in a lot of different things, and then they don't have to sit in one area for 3 hours. So a lot of these were repeats. But the students seem to really enjoy having that time to pick. And then the way it works is once the sessions are selected, it'll tell you which selections are offered each week. And then the parents can choose, do I want my kid to go this week? Are there, or they might skip a week, or they might be on vacation. So students have the option not only to choose what sessions they want to take in a week, but if they want to go for multiple weeks or not. So it really is flexible for students throughout the summer. Some of the sessions for 3-5 are here. And yes, corn was very popular. Believe it or not, they learned about corn and they loved it. It was awesome. We might be bringing that back. Yoga, science fun. I mean, it's all good. And one thing I do like is we had several, even our first year, we had several secondary teachers teaching elementary summer exploration enrichment. The teachers enjoy it because they get to teach things that they usually wouldn't get to teach throughout the school year.
I think on corn, wasn't that that was
through the state.
Through the state, yeah. So all materials were supplied, and
it was free to us except for the staff member. We were like, hey, does anybody want to teach about corn? And we had a staff member like, I'll teach corn. Okay, great. So we did have a lot of sessions offered at the middle level for our 22 students. So they were able to rotate through a lot of sessions when they were there. And then I know that we're currently going to offer those sessions again. So we've got more teachers at the secondary level submitting proposals that might interest 8th graders that want to go into 9th grade. And hopefully we can grow that program even more. So as I've said, the summer information for this summer, it will run from June the 3rd to the 27th. We do 4-day work weeks in summer, so it'll be Monday through Thursday. And again, it'll run from 8 to noon, but we'll have breakfast and lunch provided. So classes are actually from 8:30 to 11:30. And it will be at Rex Elementary School. So the lunches and breakfast will be at HMS. So they'll be dropped off and picked up there, or the student can be dropped off at Rex and then they'll walk over to HMS. They'll get their food and then they'll walk back. One thing I might add too with summer exploration and enrichment, the past 2 years, we have funded it through ESSER, and the ESSER funding is no longer available. So this is one of the programs that we felt like was needed in our district for our students, for our K-8 students. We felt like a lot of them benefited, at least 200. We're hoping more this summer. So we are absorbing that funding into our, I would say, general fund. Is that correct?
Yeah. This is part of our ESSERs. We expended all of our ESSERs here as of June 30th this last year. So we were able to put that in the budget to absorb those costs into our budget that we have for this year. So.
And we did run the numbers. Our very first summer with summer exploration and enrichment, we spent about $32,000. And then last summer we spent about $53,000. So we're budgeting for about $60,000 this year. And that includes materials and supplies, because when the proposal is accepted, the teacher will tell us what supplies and materials they need, and we purchase that so that nothing comes out of the teacher's pocket.
So Jen, last year, obviously C was at HMS and you had K3 at Rex. Is K3 going to stay at Rex, or are you still working that out?
K3 is going to go to Nelson this year, and we're going to have a closed food site there at Nelson. So food will still be provided.
Okay. When you talked about middle school, and that email that you had sent before, one of the things, the clubs that they have at campus, I know chess was on for middle school. I think Mr. Buff did chess with the students, but any of those type of, when you're going into campus and you can join this club and we can teach you what you need to know before you get there, that's
excellent.
Learn a friend.
It is very interesting, some of the proposals that come from the teachers. It's exciting. And It's just been a really exciting program for our kids, and I know parents are looking forward to it.
And there is no cost to students.
No
It's
cost.
Cost neutral, nothing that the students do not pay a dime to ride a bus, to eat, or to participate in summer school in this enrichment program. So it's really good opportunity for our kids.
All right, that's all. Yes, Greg.
Is it typical school grading, homework? Or
No
is it-
grading, no homework, no. This is just activity to keep kids' minds engaged during the summer, whereas they might be just sitting at home watching TV or on a phone. It gets them still connected with other kids, so they get to go without worrying about what grade am I going to get, or do I have homework to do tonight? Now they may, there's some readers theater, they might bring stuff home and choose to do some extra work if they would like. But no, there's no, I guess, strings attached for kids.
But you do, at the end of the year, survey, quality check or whatever, with the parents or students to see what we can improve, or is that?
You know, I really don't think that we've done a survey at the end. We've just kind of looked after the first 2 years at growth and hoping to grow more, but that's something we can definitely look into. I know we survey the staff to see what they think every year, so we can improve and grow. And I have a meeting with all of our summer programs in August or September, and they have a laundry list of things that we can look at to make it better.
As a wheat farmer, you need to get wheat on here, okay?
Wheat and corn and maybe beans
Just wheat,
and,
wheat.
Get rid of corn.
You could go teach it, Greg.
I could.
all right, submit a proposal. I'll get you the link.
I got a PhD in it.
Any other questions?
Maybe deeper.
All right, campus high school dress code review, Sealy and Macias.
Yes, and while Shane is coming up here, I do want to take this time to introduce, we have a new assistant principal that will be joining our team. And so Bethany Craig has joined us this evening. And so I just wanted to introduce her as well. She'll be joining Campus High School as the new assistant principal next year. So welcome, Bethany. And speaking of Campus High School, as you know, last year, we made, at the beginning of this year, in fact, we made some changes to the Campus High School dress code. And so Mr. Seeley is here just to talk to you a little bit about how that has gone and answer any questions you have.
Good evening. I'm Shane Seeley, principal at Campus High School. In August, I came to you because when I looked through our student handbook, we didn't have a dress code. And it was kind of surprising and a little scary at the same time. So doing some research, I found out that the previous year, the 22-23 school year, the school formed a committee with students, staff, and administration to come up with a dress code. And they looked at dress codes from around the area and some other similar sized schools in the state. And they came up with the dress code that I found in a drawer, and looked through it. And I talked to that group and I brought it to you all and I asked for you to approve the dress code. And at that time, you asked me to come back and here I am. So I'm going to give you a little update on the dress code. One of the questions that came up when I asked to implement this dress code was about hoods and hats. So in the dress code that they came up with, we were going to allow students to wear hats and also wear hoods on their hoodies so they could keep it up. During the talk, we had some conversation and decided that we would allow them to keep the hats, but we would ask them to take the hoods off of their head, which is what we've been doing for several months now. And there really hasn't been a whole lot of issue with that. I will say the colder it got, the more we dealt with the hoods being on. And a lot of times it's just kids cold and they come in and they forget about it. But I looked through our discipline, through our log entries to find how many incidents of dress code referrals that we had. And up to this point, it's been 18. So there haven't been a lot. I will say, I think I was telling Jillian the other day, I said, this is why, she was at the high school. I said, this is why you're not going to see a lot of dress code referrals, because when we do see a kid with a dress code issue, typically it's a hood on or a shirt they're not supposed to wear, or something maybe too short. We will have that conversation with the kid and ask them to fix it. And most of the time they do. And our goal is to keep them at school learning and in class. So when they fix that issue, then they go back to class. There have been a few who pressed the issue and it took a little longer or more convincing to get them to fix what they were doing. And there were a couple that no matter what you said or did, it wasn't going to matter. And the dress code at that point in time was just the reason they were using to escalate an issue. It could have been, hey, don't run in the hall, and they would have escalated that issue as well. So We've seen some pretty good success. I think the biggest thing is being able to talk to someone, and then it's always, well, why can't I? And it's, well, this is our dress code. This is what we want you to adhere to. And that's what we're asking. And if you can't, again, we ask them to fix it. And the worst case scenario, if they don't fix the issue, we're calling parents and they may be going home. And unfortunately, we've had a couple, but not too many. So that is my presentation. I didn't bring any fancy PowerPoints, but if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Based on the past couple of months, is your recommendation to keep it the same, or would you recommend a change, like that hoods be allowed, or do you think we're good?
At this point, I don't think the hoods are a big deal either way. I think we keep it as is for now and just continue to ask kids to take the hoods off. And again, they're very compliant with it. Some kids you ask several times in a week and it's the same kids. And those are some of the kids who've been written up too, because we have asked them multiple times and at some point they know what they're doing and it's time to move on to the next issue to deal with. So I would recommend to keep the dress code as is. We're always talking to people if there are things that come up. I know that fashion trends change. I remember 15 years ago, I think the biggest issue was we weren't going to allow yoga pants at school. And I don't think that's even been a thing anymore. When I first started in education, it was hair color was an issue. And so things progress. I don't know what the next fashion thing will be. I'm not very fashionable. So don't ask me, but I guarantee you within a year, we'll have some new thing come up that we'll probably have to address. And if it's a distraction at school, we'll bring it to the board.
Any other questions for Mr. Seeley?
Hey, we appreciate all your work.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Shane, I think you look quite dapper. Oh, thanks. Thanks, right?
Staffing update.
I would like to report on a staffing update at Oakville Elementary. We have had a para educator working with our ESOL students at Oakville, and she has been fabulous. She is kind of like a certified staff member. She'd been working at this for so long. The certified staff member at Ruth Clark was the teacher of record for all of those students, and she would come over to Oakville and meet with the para educator weekly to make sure that things were running smoothly and that all of the lesson plans were in order. Unfortunately, the para educator has announced that she'll be retiring, and we are very sad to see her go. But with our current numbers for ESOL at the elementary level, we feel it would be best to serve those students with a certified staff member. So our goal to do this would be to open a certified position up to internal candidates only, internal USD261 candidates. And then Mrs. Lightcap, the principal at Oakville, will hire the best candidate for the ESOL teacher at Oakville. And then what we will do is we will not fill the position of that candidate. So if we were to hire a second grade teacher from a different building, we would not fill that position. So by getting a certified teacher, we will actually be saving money from the position we do not fill. Well, that will be cost neutral, but we'll save the money for not filling the para educator position. Do you have any questions about this?
Jen, can you discuss the growth we're seeing in our ELL program?
Absolutely. We have, well, back when I first started, we had one elementary ESOL certified staff member and then like 3 para educators going. And as we've grown, we've felt the need for more certified staff members to go. So right now, all of our certified staff members have about anywhere from 40 to 50 students on their caseload. Oakville is the second highest ESOL building currently. So we're growing rapidly and we're increasing with the number of newcomer students that are coming to us and they don't speak any English at all, which requires a lot more time with the staff and with our ESOL teachers to help. In order to combat that, we've really increased our Praxis Prep program, which we're running through another cycle so we can get more staff to be endorsed because it's just good teaching practices. And this year our ESOL staff ran a program where they trained any interested staff to pass the test, which will be available through the summer. And we've had 20 more staff members, 20 be endorsed just in that time frame. So with our growing population, we're also trying to grow the knowledge of our staff. But when we first started, we probably had about a third of the students that we have now. And I don't have that number in front of me. I know we have 74 secondary students alone that are, and we have more than that, but these are the active students, or the ones that actually get the minutes and that are pulled. And then our elementary teachers right now are at 44, 49, 44, and our paraeducators at 34 on our own, which is a lot. They do say at the State Department that an average size for teacher to student is about 30. So we are over. And we do have right now, out of the three, the 3 certified staff members, they're going to separate buildings except for Prairie. Prairie has about 60 on our own. So we actually have a staff member that comes from, that does Freeman, Nelson, and then takes a grade level at Prairie to kind of alleviate that caseload from the Prairie staff. And then the other teacher goes to Ruth Clark Rex and then manages the Oakville para. So as the Oakville para is retiring, there was no way I could stretch those 3 any more than they already were. That's why we see a need for a certified staff member.
So with the certifications that you said that they're receiving, you had 20 some or whatever that have been certified to do this. Is that correct? So you feel like you have a pretty good pool of people?
Oh, absolutely.
to
Right
pull
now
from
we
if
have
they're interested, I guess.
we went from 88 to 108 staff members that are certified. Now that's district wide. So that could include counselors. We have some admin that are certified, but I do think that we'll have plenty of qualified staff members and plenty of interest for this position. So we'll just open it up internally to USD261 staff only.
So it would just be a transfer. They would just transfer within the district.
Yes, that's what they'll do.
And depending on their position, you may or may not, if it's an elementary, we will not be filling it. If it's secondary science, you're probably gonna have to fill that. But depending on what the position is, more than likely it would be an elementary teacher. And if that's the case, then we're not going to fill their position.
Craig, we don't get any supplemental funding for these special positions, do we?
Actually, we have Title III funding that we get for our ESOL program. And in the past, we've only been able, you can count it 2 ways. You can count it one way with just the number of students that qualify, or you can count it another way with the number of minutes they're getting serviced by staff that have their ESOL endorsement. We have been doing by number for the longest time because we haven't had enough staff certified to get those minutes. But now that we're getting more staff certified, we're hoping to get more funding that will come in because we can count minutes over kids or over numbers. Right now, we take the 2 and whatever we can get the most funding out of, we use. So historically, it's been the numbers, but now we're seeing a shift that we're getting really, really close to surpassing the numbers with the amount of minutes that we're providing those students.
So the short answer is every year we apply for money, SO 66 or what's that?
No, it's Title III funding.
But
for
it's part
ESOL.
of that.
It's a weighted, yes, it is a weighting that you receive funding for.
Okay.
Right now, it won't, the funding that we get wouldn't even pay for a para.
So, okay, that answers my question.
Okay, thank you.
All right, next up is substitute pay. Let's see it.
Thank you so much, David. Okay, so as you know, we have struggled for several years to get substitutes in our classroom due to our substitute pay. So we did a little bit of research and are going to present our solution, hopefully. So right now, if you look at what we are currently paying, our classified substitutes make $11.63 an hour. That is level 1 of the classified rate of pay scale. And our certified daily subs make quite a range. So depending on their qualifications and whether or not they have taken subclasses that we offer online, they make anywhere from $105 to $130. Now, these classes that bump them up into a higher level of pay, they do have to pay for those classes, and it's approximately $80 to take that highest level of course. It does bump them up to $125, but And then for fully licensed staff and retired teachers make 130. Our long-term sub pay is based off a percentage of our certified salary schedule. And our long-term subs at this time make $227.63 a day. So we researched our competitors and we reached out to Derby, Goddard, Mays, and Wichita because those are the 4 districts we lose subs to the most. And we asked what their rate of pay was for each of these. And as you can see in blue, those are the districts that pay the highest. So Goddard and Mays right now has the highest daily sub pay at $130 a day. Wichita has the highest long-term sub pay at $172 if you have a master's degree. If you don't have a master's degree, Goddard has the highest sub pay at $170. And then Mays does something unique. If you are a long-term sub for a semester or longer, you make $195 a day at Mays. So we took this information and had Craig put pen to the paper, which he will talk about here in a moment. So our proposal is to keep our classified hourly sub pay the same. We actually pay high compared to our competitors for classified sub pay. We would like to increase our certified daily sub pay to $150 a day. That puts us far above what our nearest competitors are. But because we're so high on the long-term sub pay, we are suggesting to decrease that amount to $175 for a full day. And then if they are a long-term sub for a semester or longer, to have that be $200 per day. So that pits our sub pay at a higher rate than any other district around us. Now, I do want to make a note that we currently have some long-term subs that have already been obligated to fill positions. So if they are already staffed for a long-term position, we will keep them at the current rate that we negotiated with them, which is that 227 rate. This new rate would only come about for anyone new that came about for a long-term position.
So we're not decreasing anyone.
Right. We are not decreasing anyone's pay. It would only be increasing. And Craig is going to talk to you about how the money works since we're raising one end and lowering another.
So I put together just a small graphic here to show a year over year. It shows on the top, you can see current year to date is the first column, and then it goes back about 6 years. I went back about 6 years because I wanted to make for sure that we got through the COVID part of times, and then we could kind of see where we've gone and where we've come from. The new pay scale is in blue. In that middle section is what it would cost us to make this change. And then the green section is the difference between the two and how much more money it would cost the district to make this change. So currently, if we made the change today, it would be about a $5,000 difference. That's what we call cost neutral at this point. That's a small sum of money and pretty variable on the sides. Now there's a couple years on there that get into the teens, and then 6 years ago, about 22,000 would have been the difference. But it's hard to tell on number of pregnancies, like different things that are going on to be able to really nail down an exact. But the thing is that I want to show you on this, in my next slide kind of talks about it a little bit more, is the teachers that cover currently. Currently, we have certified staff members that are working for us, and then they cover like during their plan period or whatever that is. This is the amount of money that we have paid towards teachers to cover other classrooms over the last 6 years. And this is pretty phenomenal. 6 years ago, it was 28,000. By 2021, it was 69,000. By 22-23, we paid $160,000 to cover other classrooms. Now, this is probably a trend that's not going away. We're still probably going to use certified staff members, but by increasing our daily sub rate, hopefully we'll bring in more subs and not have to call on our teachers, because there's a number of teachers that do not want to give up that time. They would prefer that we just got a substitute in to take care of that classroom. So right now, this is a possibility, even though in the green section above, it shows it's going to cost a little bit of money. And by that, I mean, it's pretty cost neutral on where we're at on that. The yellow down below is really an area where we could see some savings. So we may even go the other direction. When it's all said and done, we may actually put some money back into this fund, but time will tell. Based on how many subs pick up that 150, I would assume 150, we're going to probably bring in quite a few subs because it is all about the dollars.
And I will say on that area, when he mentioned, oh, people have already started talking about this. And so we have already had several subs contact us and say, is this true? Is this happening? And when is this happening? So we are already getting subs they're like, sign me up.
Yeah. And the reason this kind of works is because it's really a balancing act. You lower the one and the other one you can increase and kind of balance that out. And really the purpose to get the daily sub is a high need. The long-term sub, yes, we need those, but we're still going to be paying more than everybody else. We're just not going to be paying as much as what we used to.
I have a question on this slide.
Yes.
Sorry. The 5405 that your estimation is, so this is kind of a moving target because we don't know when someone's going to have a serious health issue or whatever.
That's
that is.
correct.
Is that number based on, like, is that a conservative number, or did you kind of elaborate, like, is this almost like this is a worst case scenario number? Like, we estimated for serious health, like 30 of our staff members, or, you know, whatever that looks like, or what is, I mean,
These are all
how far off could this be?
Sure. Yeah. These are all actual amounts. They're not estimates. These are on what we have currently paid to date. Our pay scale going by what we do right now, the 130 and the 226.
Yeah.
In the orange-ish, I guess. I don't know if that's pink or orange. I'm not sure what that is. $236,000 is what we have paid to date for subs. And the next one down is what we would be paying if we just changed those numbers and paid a different value. So we would actually have paid $242,000. Now, don't get me wrong.
This is based on just what we know.
What we know and 6 years of evidence of what we've used in substitute teachers. Now, obviously in 22-23, you can see the number is $695,000.
Right.
That's a very large number for substitutes. And we've had quite a few absences and teachers using time and taking that time that they need. But we're also seeing kind of a trend in the other direction now as of current year to date that absences are not as many at this point. Now, that doesn't mean that we won't have somebody that'll be gone for the rest of the year, but even taken into account, like somebody that a tragic accident or something like that takes the rest of the year, it's still not going to move these numbers enough. We'd have to have like 20 people have tragic accidents.
Okay.
And to really move that one way or the other.
Okay.
But as of right now, looking at it and just to kind of clarify, it costs more to cover a classroom with a current staff member than it does with an external substitute. So right now, every extra substitute we get is a savings because we're not using a classroom, one of our staff members to cover that for that. So we do get a savings on that side of it. Using current staff to cover has an upward trend over the last 5 years. And you could see that on there that we have increased how much money we've paid towards internal substitutes, all the way up to 160,000 last year. And that number is just getting large. And don't get me wrong, having internal staff is good, but it takes a lot of shuffling because it might be this person's plan, then this person's plan, and then you piece it all together for a full day and it makes it a little bit hard. But we won't know the actual savings for a while. I mean, it'll take another year or two to really get the data on how much savings there is there. But my belief is that if we can cover with an external substitute, it takes the burden off of the office, the principal who's doing substitutes, the classroom teacher that all of a sudden walked in that day and all of a sudden somebody said, hey, can you give me your plan so you can cover this classroom for the day? It takes a lot of that stress away from that. And hopefully we move in the right direction.
The classified pay and how many of our substitutes are classified and what does the surrounding areas pay for classified?
So the surrounding areas vary a little bit. Mays pays a consistent $80 for a full day, regardless of what classified position you are substituting for. But other positions vary. Perhaps they might pay a para more than they would pay a custodian. But we did get those figures, and our figure is the highest of all the classified pays. So if you at $11.63 an hour, if you sub for a full day, that's $93.04 for a full day. And that $93 was a higher rate than any other area was paying any of their classified positions.
How long have we been paying $11.63? Is that new?
It has been at a level 1 on the classified salary schedule. I'm not sure how long, definitely since I've been here. But we did change the classified salary schedule earlier this year. I believe it was at $11.40 and now it's at $11.63. So anytime that salary schedule is adjusted, that rate is adjusted to keep them at that level 1.
Regardless, you don't normally want to have a classified staff member. They don't have a plan in which they have no students. They're generally assigned duties during that time that they're not able to do. So, I'm very excited about the idea of this. Obviously Tasha and I both subbed in our district, and it's tough. It is tough if you're in the building seeing the amount of openings that they have that teachers are frantically trying to cover for each other. So I'm very excited about this.
I do also want to make a note that when I asked other districts, no other district has their staff completing those online courses that we had staff completing. They do have orientations and at the beginning of the year, but they don't have additional classes that substitutes have to pay. So we are recommending not to move forward with those as well.
Which leads me to, all districts have the same standards, the same qualifications to be a
Yes.
substitute teacher? Just a teaching degree or teaching certificate? What is our?
So that's a
standard?
state requirement. You work with KSTE to get a substitute license, and it's based on how many hours you have, or if you are a fully licensed teacher that maybe has retired. There's different avenues to go, but it's dictated by Kansas State Department of Education in all
There is a
districts.
standard. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
In some
Good
districts,
question.
I just know because I've subbed in several districts. Goddard at Mulvane and here. I can confirm that this was the only district that made me take the classes to get paid more to stay in my home district, but each one of them does an orientation with their staff.
Yes.
That is much similar. So there's nobody doing anything different as far as onboarding of a substitute teacher. And I could just take my license and go apply at all 3 of them, and then whatever district had an opening that day that I could work. You know,
I
so
assume we have a tab on that explains what our qualifications are, how to get a sub job. We have something on our.
Yes, they can contact our office and then we walk them through that and we'll help them put in applications and things like that. So absolutely.
What they want to point out is we met last week with HEA leadership to explain this to them, because the last thing what we want to happen is there a perception of we're not bringing money to the table for negotiations and we're paying subs. So we met last week with HEA president and a couple of their representatives and explained it to them at the time, and what we were going to do. And they had some ideas of some different things that they thought would work. So we're going to look at implementing a few of their ideas. It wasn't in regards to pay, it was in regards to some training and so forth regarding discipline and things like that, which goes along
yes,
with
classroom management.
goes along with what Jillian's talking about next year, starting a kind of be like a half day, full day professional development for anybody who wants to sub. And we would go through procedural things, discipline, how to, some very basic classroom management things. But again, to give them some tools, Greg, to your point, that they can use as they consider subbing. So we did share our plan with HEA. Again, I'm a teacher and I see this first question I'm going to have is, are you taking money from us? And I think that's a fair question. The answer is, as you can see, it's about a $5,000 on right now difference. And when you're looking at a $70-80 million budget, that's cost neutral or very, very minimal. So do want to point that out that we
Plus, Plus, there's some potential savings that
Yes.
could come down the pipe as well.
And we won't know, to be very honest with you, whether it's going to be more expensive or less expensive until the end of this year. And we've implemented it, to go to your point, Courtney, and that is we'll run the numbers at the end of the year And obviously anything we've saved in less than, what was it, 690,000? Is that what we spent last year? 600, almost $700,000 we spent on subs last year. You look at that, and that's what, $1,000 to the base is what that is from a cost standpoint. So when you look at that, it may be considerably less this year based on that. But what we do know is the busiest time of the year is coming up, and that's spring. That's when you have the most subs in your district based on all the activities that are going on with sports and activities. So we'll have a good idea at the end of this school year how this looks. And if we have to make an adjustment, we'll come back next fall and we can make an adjustment.
Well, that was my next question was what if we completely missed the mark?
Yeah, then
How do you go backwards?
Yeah, we'll have to go backwards, though. We'll have to do that. We don't have a choice. So I think I trust Craig's math, and he's looked at it. And I think when you lower that, we are so much higher than anybody around us in regards to long terms. I mean, we are considerably $50, was it 50?
Yes, $50 higher.
By lowering that, we'll grandfather in anybody who's already doing it. So this year they're left harmless, but next year we would lower that cost. So,
and I will state there are times when you can't get a sub and you have to take a classroom and split between multiple teachers. So let's say I am a third grade teacher at a building and I'm absent. So my kiddos are split between my two colleagues. You're paying both of them per the negotiated agreement, not just one teacher to take on the class, but both of them because they each have a set of students. So by hiring one substitute versus splitting your class with 2 or 3 teachers, depending on how many students you have and how many colleagues you have to split with, I believe this is going to be a substantial savings for us. Do you guys have any other questions?
Is it a conflict of interest? These two indicated that they've been substitute teachers. If we decide to become a substitute teacher, which I'm not, is it a conflict? No, I'm asking her.
But you can't. We can't like be on the board and
We can't be even part-time. That's why I'm asking.
But no, but in 2 years, I could be like, oh, now I'm gonna sub.
Thanks for answering it, Jillian.
Mr. Hirsch, do you want to answer?
what I would say is, if you can recall, there was a law that was passed last year that stated board members can be paid for their service. So as you recall, we ran this through our attorney. I think, Greg, you had asked this question earlier this year. And our attorney advised that the law is gray enough that he believes you could pay for service. However, I don't think that's probably wise, but the law doesn't, according to John, our attorney, the law doesn't state that you can't. So he thinks it's gray enough that you could pay for working an activity after school. Or
like a ticket taker.
Yeah,
or something.
ticket taker. Or the law, I believe, is intended for, if you read it, is intended for your service as board members.
Right. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about as a sub.
But John said he believes it's gray enough that, yes, you could potentially pay them to work in the district doing different activities.
But I thought that would make us a district employee, and the law states that you can't be a district employee and be on the school board.
But again, the law was changed so that you can be paid to be on a school board. I will tell you, to my knowledge, there was an email going around earlier this year. No district has done it where they paid their school board members, and I would recommend you don't, because that takes money out of the classroom. But the law allows you to do that now.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you all.
Thank you, Jillian. All right, overview of career and tech education offerings.
Oh, that's right.
There's no names on these, so Mr. Seaman, is it you?
Yeah.
I'm gonna be a substitute
Okay.
teacher on wheat. Okay.
You'll have to talk to Jillian.
But as Greg and I talked about, you could donate the money to the foundation. If
That's
you
true.
got paid, you could donate the money to the foundation for doing it.
All right. It's me again. So I'm going to talk a little bit about career and tech at Campus High School, and try to clear up some misconceptions and hopefully everybody understands what I'm talking about when I'm done. So career tech ed, CTE, is education that focuses on careers or different industries. It's not VOTech like people think of. When I was in school, there was a VOTEC option that students could go to VOTEC half days and come to high school half days. That still does exist, but that's not what CTE is. CTE has a wide range of careers, from health to manufacturing to hospitality and everywhere in between. It integrates academic knowledge with hands-on experience that can change up throughout time. It's not an alternative to college, but it can be. But also students who are in CT pathways could, with their career, go into college. Like it's kind of a combination. It does meet the needs of current work and career fields, and it's always changing. The state, our state, other states who have CTE are always looking at what jobs are needed and trying to focus those energies on schools as to what kids are learning so that they can fill those high needs areas. I will say one of the biggest reasons why I came to campus was because of the CTE pathways, and campus has done a phenomenal job of putting together. Right now we have 17. And it's a big endeavor to put together one pathway, and we have 17. So I'm going to try to talk a little bit about each one of those and show you some of the various pathways that we have at Campus High School. Also have my big handbook here if I need to dig into that. So what I've done, I took this out of the handbook. This is the current state of Kansas's career fields, clusters, and pathways. So the first thing, the biggest layer are fields. These are the fields of need in the state of Kansas. There are 7, and campus encompasses 6 of the 7. The only one that we don't have, which one the laser is, there we go. We don't have agriculture, but we have something in business, family, consumer sciences, public services, media and technology, health, design, production, and repair. Within those, they have what's called clusters. So each field has, some have 1 cluster, some have up to 3. I think 3 is the highest. No, maybe 4. No, 3. 3 clusters. And then those clusters are broken down even further into pathways. The state of Kansas has 36 different pathways that fit into CTE within those 7 different fields. Campus High School has 6. It's public service, business, design, production, repair, health, family, consumer sciences, and media and technology. Within those, we have the following clusters. We have education and training, business management and administration, finance, manufacturing, architecture and construction, engineering, transportation, health and biology service sciences, human services, hospitality and tourism, arts, AV, tech and communications, information technology. I think that's it. And then within each of those, we have our 17 pathways. So they're broken down into teacher training, business management and entrepreneurship, business finance, manufacturing, design and construction and design, energy, engineering and applied math, mobile equipment maintenance, health science, fashion, apparel, interior design. We just call it FADE. It's easier to say. Family, community and consumer services, early childhood development and services, restaurant and event management, digital media, web and digital. I think it's my last one, maybe programming and software. Nope, development and network systems. So we have quite an array of different programs that kids can be a part of. So CTE, I've got our pathway posters, and I'm going to talk a little bit about why CTE, other than these are jobs that the state needs to fill. This is an opportunity to train students so that they could walk out of high school and be ready to take a job or be ready to go into the next level of college, whatever that career field needs. The difference between CTE and a VOTEC, the biggest, at least in my opinion, is that with VOTEC, as a student, you're committing your whole high school career from your junior year on to that program. So if I'm a 16-year-old and I really want to weld, that's probably the best place for me. I'm going to go and apply at WSU Tech, and hopefully they'll take me. So they don't take everybody. And then I'm going to go to Campus High School as a junior and show up for my 4 core classes that are needed. And then in the afternoon, I'm going to go to WSU Tech and take all the welding classes. But my electives are done. I'm not going to be able to do other things at Campus High School. But it's not a bad thing. If that's what you really want to do, then that's a great opportunity for students. Within CTE, though, this is really just elective classes that if we sequence them the right way, students are going to learn, they're going to have hands-on experiences, and they're going to hopefully leave with the experience and the credentials to start a job or roll right into college and into that next step before a career that they would want. And when we say jobs and careers, these are careers that are pretty well paying versus just rolling out of high school and going to work back when I was a kid. So you could roll into a job at 18 years old and be making $50,000 a year and not have to incur a bunch of debt to figure out you do or don't want to do something. So I've listed our pathways up here. There are a lot of classes within each pathway. The way that it works is, as a high school student, it really starts in middle school, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But in high school, you want to have an idea or think of certain things you want to take. So you want to be in digital media. You're going to want to start at an introductory level class as a freshman or a sophomore so that you can progress through the pathway. One of them that's the easiest, I'm going to skip to, where's it at? I'll skip all the way to the back. I like these guys. So our technology education department, which is our Brett Mars, Price, Kreider, those guys, they have five pathways within their area. And so mobile equipment maintenance, which is automotive, that's what people know it as. The state calls it mobile equipment maintenance. So if I have an interest in cars, I'm going to get in the classes to take mobile equipment maintenance. For us, that means that as a freshman or sophomore, I'm going to take intro to industrial tech. Now that also is an intro level class to other pathways. So if I want to do cars, but I also might want to weld, that's a perfect class because it's the intro to both pathways. So as a freshman or sophomore, I'm going to take that intro to industrial tech, and then I'm going to move the next year or the next semester into automotive information. And then my junior year, I'm going to take auto 1. And then my senior year, I'm going to take, or excuse me, auto 1 would be sophomore year, auto 2 would be junior year, and auto 3 would be senior year. Those are 1 credit classes that each semester is one of their 8 classes. So it leaves room for other things still. So if I am also interested in welding, I'm also, went too far, didn't I? Which way? Oh, manufacturing. There we go. I'm going to take this intro to industrial tech, the same as I did here, and then I'm going to move into machine tool technology. And then as a senior, I might take production welding too. And I'm going to be what's called a completer. At the end of the pathway, we're working to get more students credentialed so that they can earn an industry recognized certificate, which helps us as a school on our graduation post-secondary success rate. So that's one of those things that gets reported every year, and we don't know the answer for, what is it, 3 years down the road?
Yes.
So
They're currently reporting on 2021 graduates.
but for a student, they have those experiences and they know what they're doing, and a fabrication shop can call and say, do you have any students that would be good for this? And we would be able to put people in jobs straight out of high school that could be a good fit for them. It's also an opportunity, and this was a good one for me a long time ago, for kids to fail without fail without fear. Is that right? I had a girl who was going to be a doctor, and she knew it. Like, that was from day one. She's going to be a doctor. So she took the health classes, and then she went into phlebotomy tech. You know what phlebotomy is? Those are the people who draw blood. So the first day they drew blood, she fainted and realized that wasn't something she could do. And she didn't have to go through years of college to discover, hey, this is not the best route for me, and change majors halfway through. And I think she switched over to accounting. This was several years ago. But she was able to get into the accounting pathway, which she was also doing simultaneously because you have that availability. And she got it in a bank internship and was able to use that as a career. A lot of students who take some of these pathways will go straight into the workforce, and the goal is to have a high paying job. And other students will leave campus high school and go to college and continue in some of these different areas. So that is my, I guess, long, short presentation of our CTE pathways. I'm going to go through each one pretty quickly. So our pathways currently are broken down by departments. Our first department is business, which, you say business, that encompasses a ton. We've got digital media, which is like your news, our cult, our channel 060. We've got network systems, which is going to be a lot of computer applications and programming. Same with programming and software development. Business finance, more of the money side, accounting, things like that. Web and digital communications, so website design, that area, and business management and entrepreneurship. And that's, I believe, where our stomping grounds, it gets mentioned a lot, falls within that pathway. Our FACS department encompasses several other pathways as well. We've got fashion, apparel, and interior design. That's the FADE pathway. We've got early childhood development and services, which funny enough is different than the teaching pathway. Restaurant and event management. This is where a lot of our FCCLA students are currently and where they thrive. Family, community, and consumer services. And our teacher training pathway. Health science pathway. Part of that pathway that gets some notoriety is our CNA classes that students take junior and senior year. And when they're done with that, they test and get their CNA credentials and are able to start working sometimes as young as 16, depending on the place that they work at, in a higher paying job than they would be able to as a high schooler. Tech ed, so that's our engineering pathway. Construction and design is what it says it is. Manufacturing, that's where our welding lies. Our mobile equipment maintenance, that's our automotive. And then energy. Energy's a kind of a mix between science and our what am I thinking here? Our manufacturing type pathway. So it's kind of a hybrid, but it's got a lot of things in it. There are several other pathways that we could potentially look at bringing in, but when we start doing that means we're taking in another elective and things of that nature. But like I said, there's 36 at the state level and we have 17, and there might be some others that might fit within the community of that campus serves. Questions?
Giggling. Well, we have a community retreat. So to advertise what we have here at the school, would it be beneficial to have a business industry CTE retreat? I know it's more work for you, but let the Wichita area know that we have these students 1 to 4 years away, especially, I'll just use CNA, especially at care homes. There's always a shortage of those. They may not be aware of our programs.
Yeah, it would be very beneficial, and that is something that I'm looking at adding as we go forward is some parts like that. I'm also really looking, because almost every pathway has work-based learning as a part of that, and work-based learning can look very different from pathway to pathway, but we don't have the manpower at this point to facilitate work-based learning in each pathway. If we had 1 kid or 2 kids in a pathway that, let's say we're in the automotive pathway and they wanted that work-based learning, I have a full-time teacher that teaches automotive. He doesn't have the time to go out and build those partnerships. And he also wouldn't be able to go out and mentor and observe those students while they're on the job. But we do have that in pathways. And I would like to see that as something that's added. And I really think businesses in the area would jump all over it, because they're getting free job interviews with kids that they could say, hey, you want a job, and hire them right off the floor. And I think a lot of people are looking for that. And again, these are high needs areas in the state. These are jobs that people want to hire people for, and there's a shortage.
There's several ways to do it, as you suggested, but wouldn't necessarily have to have a retreat or a summer event, but simply as a letter, like a resume or whatever, of what Campus High has.
Yes.
Send it to Cessna, Textron, whatever, whoever. So
we had a meeting last year, Greg, with an area builder.
Right.
Construction, and
Same
his
thing.
concern was, I can't get help. What can you do to help us? And that is a statewide, I mean, just thinking of construction alone, not thinking of restaurant management but construction alone, that is such a need right now to get people to go into that field. That I think you remember JJ's Custom Homes, who's a campus grad, came in last year and offered one of our kids an internship based on his summer going into, once he graduated, a job.
But they approached us,
Yeah.
saying whether it be a
Right.
letter, advertisement, I would say letter.
We've got a plan that we're going to share later about how to grow this.
I had the question tonight.
Yeah, well, no, I mean later tonight.
It's just 20 minutes from now.
Later tonight.
How come all these people answer for you? Go ahead,
The
sorry.
work-based learning, though, there's obviously other districts that are currently, really focused on work-based learning and providing really great opportunities for students. I'm super excited to hear it bring a little bit later because I do think that it is something that our students would really grow well in.
Yes, and within this, we do have some components of work-based learning already happening. Valley State Bank is an example of work-based learning on site, but there are many opportunities that we could take advantage of that are off-site that currently we're not able to do. So.
Thanks, Mr. Seeley.
Okay.
All right, moving on to 6.0 action item, 6.1, the HR process, resolution for the BOE. Jillian.
Yes, so I believe you guys have that in your packet of information.
Yes.
So this is a proposal to allow Mr. Hirsch or myself, in the event that a staff member resigns or retires, for us to be able to accept that resignation or retirement when they offer it. Right now, that goes to you guys in the board packet once a month. And sometimes if someone resigns or retires, it can be weeks, several weeks before it is brought to the board. So this allows Mr. Hirsch or I to accept that resignation at that time. And then it would still, of course, be placed on the consent agenda for you guys so that you can officially look at everything that is changing.
But it does allow, and this is through the advice of our attorney.
Yes.
Does allow Jillian or myself or their positions, those positions, to accept a resignation. So if a teacher comes to me and says, I need to resign tomorrow because we're moving out of state, we can accept that resignation. We're going to still bring it to you as a board to get each month, but that allows us to get that taken care of. And sometimes where this comes into situations where you're in a situation where somebody needs to resign and they can retract that resignation. And this would allow the district to accept that. And then the board would obviously see that and approve it at the end. So you're not sitting there waiting 2 to 3 weeks before it's approved. So.
And if it's a normal position to go ahead and start a certain process versus waiting a month.
Right.
For the official acceptance from the board.
And again, this was through the advice of our attorney. We advised this is what they would recommend.
In some cases, past history, if they resign, quit early, they are subject to penalties. Will that still be part of your recommendation or evaluation?
So that is actually outlined in the negotiated agreement.
Right,
So
right.
that wouldn't change. If they resign after a certain date, then there is a penalty assessed.
Okay.
So that would not change anything in the negotiated agreement.
Okay. That's why they're classified and certified, both.
Understood.
Yeah.
Any additional questions, board? Do you need to read? It's in our board packet.
I think whoever makes the motion, I believe, reads that.
Okay, well then I will make a motion and there's a whole thing spread out here. So in order to facilitate the employee replacement hiring process, I move that the Board of Education authorize and delegate the superintendent and or assistant superintendent of human resources and student services the ability to formally accept employee resignations and begin the employee search process.
Second.
There's a motion by Bain and a second by Jeremy. All in favor? 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to 7.0 first readings, 7.1, the 24-25 district calendar proposal. Mr. Craig.
Good evening. I'm here as a representative on our DPAC, our District Professional Advisory Council, that is working on calendars or school calendars. So I want to talk a little bit about the process that we go through in identifying and selecting a school calendar to ultimately bring to you for board approval. So as a member of the DPAC, we were able to work within groups. Each group got to name their own team. I'm pretty partial to my team's name in that. So first of
What's
all,
that name?
Which is.
I will stand for questions later. I'm just, the team name that we selected was Hair is Overrated. For no obvious reason. So moving on, we were able to look at a timeline as we were progressing through starting this at the end of January, beginning of February, so we could bring a calendar or multiple calendars to the floor so we could select which one we wanted to present to staff for a vote. So looking at that, things that we looked at to consider when building a calendar. First, what is best for our students? How does the calendar impact student learning? How will meals be impacted by the construction of a calendar? Knowing that meals are important to our students, and sometimes those meals are provided to our students from school. Being mindful of short weeks, we know learning is maximized in full weeks. So kind of minimizing 1 to 2 week or day weeks. Required 1,116 hours. That is the law. That's the required number of hours that students are in session in a school year, and balance in calendar. And really what we're looking at there is making sure that the number of days in the first semester and the number of days in the second semester are as close as they can be. We don't really see a huge impact at the elementary level in that, but more in the secondary level as you're looking at those courses with finals and those credits. We looked at non-negotiables. So what does that look like in terms of teacher contract days, non-working days such as holidays, and then also non-teaching days and in-service days? So my favorite part of this process is the point of encouraged creativity. So as we go through and identify things that we want to look at within a calendar, it is encouraged to be unique and to think outside the box, which really creates that creative conversation and collaboration within the group. Most of the staff that were in the groups took and surveyed their staff within the building, allowing for feedback in the building to then translate into the construction of those calendars. Next step in that process is we gained 4 different creative calendars from different groups, and then one calendar that's really consistent with this year's calendar, just a shift in the days, so it kind of mirrors that. We were presented those as a group. We did an activity where each group came up and presented what was different about their calendar, unique points in their calendar. And then we did a rating scale, kind of rating activity with the color of stars. I have those one here just to show. I took the green one and put it on my paper just because I was special that day and got that star because I worked really hard. So once we selected that, the DPAC presented and came to a conclusion on one calendar. Then that calendar, along with the mirrored calendar, went out to a vote to our staff. We send that out to all staff. This year, 505 staff members voted. Option 2 received 55% vote, and option 1 received a 45% vote. So we are coming to present to you option 2 for board approval. I know tonight is a first reading, but based on our process and voting results, option 2 was in favor at 55%.
And Kelly represents the board on DPAC and was part of the process. Jeremy represented for the last couple of years and been part of the process. So Kelly, I don't know if there's anything you want to add or.
It was just a really neat process to watch and to be a part of. I missed a couple of meetings there, but I thought it was great how we pulled in every different level. Was every building represented?
Yes,
in one way or another. I mean, just to have everyone's input. I think it's just a really neat idea that you you all are in charge of creating this because it impacts you more than anyone. So it was just a really neat process to see how that all comes together. So there was a lot of thought that goes into what they're placing on there and where they're placing it. So
And the different perspectives. Each level has a unique
Yes.
viewpoint and lens to see that through. So getting information from, staff at different level just brings a well-rounded viewpoint to that.
I assume you considered teachers who want to go back, continuing ed at the college level. Does this fit hypothetically with Wichita State when their summer semester starts?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit unique. Colleges have a little bit more flexibility on when they can start at the beginning of the year and end of the year for them and those semester courses. But it does align with the spring break and those breaks that we would see within the college level. Is that what you're asking?
Well, I mean, there's 12 to 14 weeks, let's say in June, July, and August, May, June, July, and August, that the teacher should be able to find classes.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
and take a vacation and so on and so forth. So
Yep.
there's
that
plenty
does-
of time.
That does allow for that
Okay.
time, yes.
Again, this is the first read. Next month, we'll bring it back. As the board knows, when we went through the board approval, the original date was April. I believe the board asked that we bring it and have it approved by March 31st. So next month, we will bring it back. It's just a first read tonight. So I want Jared to explain and represent his colleagues on PAC and share that process. So
Any additional questions, board? Thank you, Mr. Craig.
thanks, Jared.
Guess who's back? Back again. All right, Mr. Steele, graduation credits update. Oh, yeah, this is three.
Both of us.
I didn't have any names on it, sorry.
No, you're fine. I'm just here for support.
Yeah. Need all the support I can get. Well, thanks for having me again. Here come the next two items, actually. So the first one is graduation credit update. So I'm going to try not to confuse you because the first time I looked at this, it was pretty confusing. I'm going to talk about three different pieces to this. The first is the current class of 24, which are the seniors that graduate in May. I'm going to then go into the classes of 25 through 27, which are our 11th, 10th, and 9th graders. And then I'm going to talk about the class of 2028, the current 8th graders that are in Jared's building right now. So here's what I've got. I don't know if do they have the same report? Okay.
Got all of the paperwork that came with it.
All right. So Campus High School changed the graduation credit requirement for students for the graduating class of 2020 to the graduating class of 2024 because of the COVID-19 pandemic. On the back pages of this, you've got a chart that shows you the historical graduation credits at Campus High School. And when I looked through this, it was kind of cool to see where it's been and how it's adjusted in some of the classes that don't even exist anymore. Mr. Zamanek helped with that, getting that information for me. So do what?
It was only there half of these years.
Yeah. So if you go to that page, you will see that from 2017 to 2019, Campus High School had 27 credits. And then the pandemic hit and somebody in my seat before me, I believe, came to this board and asked to move that down to 24 credits. So the board at that time agreed to move it to 24 until the students who experienced the pandemic in school were done. And so that group graduates in May. And after they graduate, that number goes back up to 27 for the three classes that are in the building. Historically at Campus High School, there's been 22 credits required, 24, 25, and 27, which was the most recent, but it was only a 2-year span. You can look through there. I always like looking at the core classes how those have changed over time, because I've had several people and even people my age say, back when I was in school, we did this. And I look, I'm like, no, you didn't. And I really, if we could go back to some of these earlier ones, it might help, but we can't because we have to follow what the state says. So the current class of 20, the current 9th through 11th graders are required to get 27 credits, and those 3 extra are electives. Then we're going to have a whole new state requirement rolling through the door next year with our class of 28. Eighth graders at the state level, so all across the state is adding several things. The first thing, which we don't have to worry about because Campus High School did it several years ago, is every eighth grader, when they graduate, will have a semester of public speaking. We already require that at campus. If you look on the chart, it's in there somewhere when it started, I think.
Yeah, public speaking
Yeah.
started.
We,
Well,
you-
speech started in 2017.
2017. So that's been in place. It's something we don't have to think about. The next piece that the class of 28 has to worry about, and everybody below that, is they will all have to do a semester of financial literacy. And that is a change at the state level. That's going to be one that we have to build. And I look forward to it because it's, to me, in my mind, it's really easy because we know that if we have 400 freshmen or 450 freshmen, we got to have 450 seats. And that's pretty easy math. We need 450 seats divided by however many, and that's what we need to create. So that's an easy change. The other change is a little more difficult. So all of the class of 28 and beyond will have to have an additional STEM elective. What does that mean? So that means advanced science, advanced technology, or advanced mathematics. And in this, I'm not lying when I say if you go onto the state's FAQ about the graduation requirement, this is very much like if you look at it today, it might be different tomorrow. They don't have everything ironed out yet. So the STEM elective at this point in time is the scariest to me because again, it's advanced math, advanced science, and or technology. So that means CTE, which I talked about earlier. That means a student who takes an application level for a semester counts, or excuse me, for a year counts. However, it's really more than that because the state doesn't count that application level unless they take the technical level. So it's really more like 2 credits to get that one STEM elective if they're going that route. I asked the counseling department and Mr. Zamanek got me some numbers, and these are kind of scary, but I'm not doing this to scare you. The current class of 24, I asked what if they had these requirements, how many would graduate in May? 41%.
Oh.
And that's just the STEM. We're not talking the digital, the personal finance. It's 41%. 59% of the class of 24 wouldn't have the STEM elective. And it's scary, but it's not that bad because we haven't been pushing them into that. We will be pushing these 8th graders into that. But that's a lot. That's a lot of kids that we're going to have to figure out ways for them to get classes that they can be successful in that will get them to graduate. So I asked our staff, I surveyed them, I surveyed parents, students, and I came up with some results. I asked them, I said, all right, we're at 24 credits. How many of you all think we should stay at 24? How many think we should move back to 27? And then I threw in a 25 because I do think we need to move up from 24. And the results were kind of funny. I got my pie chart here. I only had 16 parents and students actually respond out of 1,600. So that's what, 1%? Pretty good at math, right?
Small number.
I was one.
And actually the parent, that 16%, 50% of the 16, which is 8, said 25 credit hours. In the staff, it was about a third split. So 32% said that they think we should move back to 27. 32% said we should go to 25, and 29% said stay at 24. So that's kind of where we're at. My first ask of the board is that we move to 25 credits, which again, you can look at it one way. I can say we're moving up from 24 credits, and that is an elective credit that we're putting in place. Or you can say we're moving down from the 27 that are required of the junior class. My worry is the other stuff that the state's going to have us do, that we need to prepare for the STEM elective that they have to have. We need to prepare for the personal finance class that they're all going to have to take, and to worry about elective classes on top of that is going to be a lot.
Shane, I might add, we also reached out to the state all the districts in the state and asked them to fill out an Excel spreadsheet with their graduation credit requirements, and the average was 25 for the state. With all the rest of the districts, we had several respond.
And the state says 21. So the state's right at 21. It's 4 English, 3 math, 3 science, 3 social studies, 1 fine art, 1 PE, and then 6 electives. Ours is all the same right now, except the electives is way more than 6. It would be an additional,
It would go to 12.
Go to 12.
it would go to 12.
So we're asking to cut 2 electives.
Cut 2 electives or add an elective. If you look at it that way, we're moving up from 24 to 25.
Adding,
There you go.
like, the funding.
Yeah.
Your fear on this, is it the unknown of what we're being thrown into, because there's no clear black and white right now?
Yes, I will throw in too, I forgot to mention, so the class of 28, there's a whole nother part to this. So they, on top of the graduation requirements, there's a new thing called post-secondary assets that they have to have 2 of to graduate. And again, no joke, if you go on the state's FAQ, it says by 2028, we'll have a way to track it. It will be in our building next year. And so the post-secondary asset, it feeds into a lot of the CTE programs. The electives are supposed to be tied to their individual plans of study. And a lot of that's going to be CTE based. And so we're going to be pushing heavy on CTE. I want them in classes that they want to take and that they need to take for a career, versus you get a lot of kids in their senior year that are taking classes just to meet those requirements, but they're retaking classes they've already taken that they think are easier, that they don't care about, or we're dumping them. We have student aids, and that's not a bad thing, but I want them in classes that are important for them, and each kid's different. We're not saying we're going to take away offerings, because as a student at campus high school, if you just roll through your 8 credits a year, you can still get 32 credits. And more. I mean, there are other opportunities outside of school that would add to that, but we're not saying you have to, as soon as you hit this 25, you're out the door, get out of, they can still get 32.
Yeah.
Any questions for it? Anthony asked, okay. Thank you. 7.3, if it's still the same group, request for additional license. Good work.
Mhm.
I don't know. What do you think? Okay.
Well, let's start with business.
Okay. I think there are 2 asks on this. The first is an additional business teacher. So I'm going to go through the sheet here. There's been a growing interest in course offerings at Campus High School Business Department over the years. Out of the 17 pathways, which I showed earlier, offered at Campus High School, 6 of them are taught through the business department, where we have 5 teachers. So business finance, business management and entrepreneurship, digital media, network systems, programming and software development, web and digital communications. Department, like I said, has 5 teachers, all of whom teach on their plan to be able to offer courses to our students, which means we have a need, we have a demand for those classes. We like to add a business teacher at Campus High School for the 24-25 school year. Why? So during the first semester, all 5 business teachers were paid on their plan period because of the number of students enrolled in the department's classes. During the second semester, 3 of the 5 business teachers were paid on their plan to ensure students could take courses from the business department. In addition, the graduation requirements are changing, starting with the class of 2028. Like I said, that's our 8th graders, stating that all students will need to complete a financial literacy 1 semester before graduation. We would like to utilize the addition of this teacher to ensure that the requirement is complete per the state. Before this year, and even this year, I think, there is a class that was a CTE funded class at the state level called. And that won't exist. The class could still exist, but the funding won't going forward, because now it's a graduation requirement. So the business department has a pretty good idea of what this class should entail. The state doesn't have exact curriculum for schools. They want schools to build it themselves, but they do have standards that they have to build from. So my thought is that the business department builds this class and then the class of 28 takes this class. The class of 28 will take this class when they are a junior. So it will offset in junior year. They have 1 semester of US history. They will have 1 semester of this finance class. I think it's more important junior year than freshman year, because as a freshman, a loan doesn't mean much to you. An interest rate doesn't mean much to you, but as a junior, those start to become more important. So it gives us time to build the class, to run through some trials with this class, and to when in 2 years, which seems like a long way, but it's not, we'll have 450 seats or however many we need at that point in time for students to take the class. This would be an additional teacher in the business department at Campus High School. Teacher would be added for next year. With BOE approval, the Human Resources Department will advertise the position. The teacher will be an additional business. How much? According to the current salary, I don't think we mentioned. Oh, there we go. Yep. According to the current salary schedule, the beginning teacher salary is $40,519. This school year, we paid the business teachers an additional $37,455 to teach on their plan. With an additional business teacher, the department will be able to add 12 sections of courses paid plans this year, funded 8. And we'll also be able to add the financial literacy class required for the graduating class of 28. I believe, I was listening earlier, that's a cost neutral, right? Did I do that? Did I say that right?
I think that's a good word.
Cost neutral to add a business teacher at Campus High School.
I have a question.
Funnel 450 students do this in 2 years.
Right. What's the likelihood that we would hire somebody that would come in at the 4519? Like that we would get, like, that's like your entry level, never, like, I'm assuming somebody coming into that wouldn't be right at that, you know?
Yeah, I honestly don't know. So business is one of those different departments. So I'm going to Wichita State on Thursday. I might find one there for a job fair, but a lot of business teachers are not traditionally trained. A lot of them go to the industry and then they come in to the classroom. And I don't know, Jillian, is that would still be a first year on a lot of those, right? But
that would be, but we have the experience of a lot of our business teachers are more educated than.
Right. Well, and that's what I absolutely see a need and almost not a choice from the state in this.
But even if we hired somebody.
But so I just
55,000.
right. Well, and that's what I'm just trying to understand the swing.
That's what we figure when we hire a teacher, the average is 55 to 60,000. That's benefits. That's the whole package.
Okay.
So if you take, say 55 of that, and what we say 37,000, right? Or 38,000. So about another 17,000.
Yeah.
17,000.
We're adding the class that the state requires.
Do you expect that will completely reduce paid plan time in the business department?
Yes.
The other piece I will add, and we will bring this next month to you, is we are looking at the open enrollment numbers for next year. And we have to set those before May 1st. And next month, we've been working on this for quite a while. And what I will tell you, based on our elementary numbers, right now, we are not intending to fill 9 to 10 elementary positions because our classroom sizes, average wise, are considerably lower than the board recommendation. And we will still be lower than the board recommendation by not filling them. And I'll bring you the math and the money savings and all that next month. But just so you are aware, our recommendation is not to fill those positions based on enrollment numbers. As you know, we dropped 230 kids this last year. And of that 230, a significant portion was at the elementary level. And we already had really good class sizes to start with. So now, am I saying that we don't have some classes of 25 right now? Absolutely. But the average across the district is significantly lower than what the board's recommended number is. So when you look at that savings right now, we met with our principals last week and told them we're not going to fill these positions. And so you're saving about $550,000 in salaries on that alone. Secondary is harder because you have to fill content. If you have a science teacher leave, you got to have a science teacher in the way the schedules are set up. So that's the reality of what we're doing.
Okay. And Jeremy, to expand on yours, the paid plans this year were 8 sections. A teacher traditionally with a plan every day teaches 12 sections. So we would eliminate the 8 sections of paid plan and still have 4 additional sections to add to the business department, which can cover those financial literacy.
So Jennifer, this is your getting ahead of the additional credits by the state, specifically business, but we don't have a loss or a void in science, math, or any of those credit or speech or whatever.
No, actually, when the state submitted their new requirements, the only 2, and I know that it makes sense in my head, this is how I sent it. All of the requirements are on this page, and the green are the new requirements from the state that we already had in place.
Okay,
So the 2 yellow were the only things that we were like, okay, so this is gonna be an addition. So we're really fortunate at the district level that we already had a lot of this stuff in place.
so what's the second yellow? If one is
The
business.
first was the financial literacy and the second system elective.
Okay, thank you.
So you're going to a job fair?
It's
weekend?
job fair season.
It is.
I'm going on Thursday.
So with that information, is this something that we should vote on now, since you're basically going to a job fair, potentially looking for these positions?
We have 2 job
I
fairs
know,
this week and 2 next week.
I know it's a first reading, I know it's hiring people, but it sounds like financially it's not that big of an ask, so if the board is okay with it, is this something we want to vote on now?
I would throw out, Jeremy, to your point, the pool is better now than it will be in April and May for candidates. Because most districts, this is when you're hiring. February, March is when you're, January for, for some positions, but I will say that the pool is going to be deeper now than it will be in 2 months.
Well, and truthfully, I bet that we're in a better position than most school districts, because they may have more people they're looking for to fill those requirements.
Yeah. And I will tell you, our principals that are at the secondary level that have openings right now have said the pool that we are seeing right now has been higher than and they think some correlation with what's going on in a neighboring district. But they are seeing a correlation of a lot higher quality candidates early in some tough to fill areas. So that's a good thing.
What has to be done to make this a action item?
Just make a motion. So if the board agrees, I would make a motion to approve the hiring of additional licensed positions.
Second.
There's a motion by Jeremy and a second by Barb for approval of the additional business department teacher.
I would say that the CT specialist position that we're going to talk to you next about could be a next month hire. It's more than likely you're looking at that's going to be a different type of position. But the business position is a classroom teacher. I will tell you that if you can do it, that will help us out.
Do I have to read that? Do I have to read some?
Just say it.
No. Okay, so there's a motion by Jeremy, a second by Barb to go ahead and hire a business or to allow the process to start to hire a business instructor. That will take care of paid plans for our business teachers, so they get a plan period back, as well as take care of financial literacy state requirement that will happen in 2028, or for our graduates of 2028. All in favor? Yes.
Does not include the CTE. No.
This does not include the CTE, currently separated.
So distill it down, we're giving them approval at these meet and greet to hire people on the spot. Is that what this motion is about?
I believe it opens the job for them to then interview for it.
Additional positions.
Additional business
position.
One position.
One teacher position in the business department, which I think is a lift of about 17, perhaps.
And I will say that it will come to the board if you allow this. The earliest you would approve it would be March. So it'd be your next board meeting. They could potentially find somebody, have the position and ready to bring to you for your final approval, which is part of the process in March versus April. Because if you go into March, you're looking at April as the earliest. And I will tell you, a lot of times teachers will not resign from their other position until they have a board approved contract with their new district. That's just, and I understand that.
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor. All in favor of going ahead and allowing that position to move forward now? 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Do you want me to sit down and come back up here?
No.
All right.
Fine.
I like meeting with Dom.
All right, CTE. So the next on your list is a CTE specialist for Campus High School. I'm going to read through here again, and I'll answer questions as you have them. So with the growing importance of focus on careers and the new graduation requirements starting with the class of 28, Campus High School has been attempting to grow the CTE classes and pathways offered for students. Currently, the state of Kansas has 36. I wrote that wrong. No, it's fine. 36 career pathways for CTE, and Campus High School has 17 of those. With these pathways come the responsibilities in the areas of course mapping, connections to graduation requirements, aligning student interests to courses offered, tracking data from introductory level to technical level to application level to completer status, organizing internships, job shadowing opportunities, work-based learning experiences, working with middle schools to begin introductory level courses that connect to the high school, work on adding industry recognized certifications for students to obtain while in high school, utilize the state required system of Zello to align IPS to the CTE pathways, and create a stronger relationship between WSU Tech and Campus High School. We'll say currently, one of our business teachers does this as a supplemental job on the side. So teaches a full course day every day, and then on extra time works on everything else. So he has to map all of the courses each year, each of these 17 pathways. Yep. Yes, Walter. So we split this up. We split the duties, but Mr. Willig works with all of the different pathways. So each pathway has to reapply every year. And that's the process we're in right now. And the state reviews those applications and tells us yes or no. And so it's a process every year just to make sure we have 17 pathways and that we can continue them. Each year we work with the Carl Perkins loan, which is a process to apply for and then receive funding, which I don't know off the top of my head. It's a lot of money each year that the CTE pathways get from Perkins grants. And Mr. Willig has to apply for that grant, has to track that money and make sure that it's getting spent in all the right places. There are some things on here that are listed that we just currently can't do. He doesn't have time to go to the middle schools and work with the middle schools on CTE and on working kids in. He doesn't have the ability to go out for our work-based learning, which is a huge need, I would say, at our building and for the state. And we're not able at this point in time to really offer those fully to our students. We would like to add a district CTE specialist who will be housed at Campus High School for the 24-25 school year. Campus High School aims to have work-based learning or an internship class at the end of every pathway. This will provide students with the work-based learning experiences, set them up for successes, and increase our post-secondary effective rate. A CTE specialist would be able to take what is in place, audit the program's needs, make adjustments, track the data, and grow the post-secondary success of all students before graduation. Post-secondary success is an identified area for improvement, AFI, set forth by the state of Kansas that impacts the district's accreditation. This position can also generate funding for courses not currently offered at Campus High School, which will help pay for the growth of these pathways. So in CTE, we receive, it's commonly referred to as 0.5 funding. So each kid in a technical level or an application level class receives an additional weighting per class that they're in. So that is extra money that could come into the district. And for each of these work-based learning opportunities that we provide, that would also add 0.5 funding. So I don't have a exact figure of what that looks like, because it's like a percent of a percent of a percent, but it is additional money that could help pay, if not fully pay, for this position. What I would see this person do in my vision for a CTE coordinator at Campus High School is a halftime at campus, working on the mapping, working with the departments, working with the pathways, going to the middle schools, setting those things up. And then the other half of the day, they are working with businesses. They are coming up with these partnerships, and they are sending kids out into work-based learning experiences, making sure that we follow all the guidelines, because it's not as simple as just saying, Jared, you're gonna go to Red Lobster today and hang out. They actually, there are things that have to be done. They have to have a contract. They have to complete certain hours. The person has to go observe them on the job. And that's what this CTE coordinator would be doing. So they would be working with our pathways, helping us to continue to grow those, but then also providing a work-based learning experience that we really haven't been able to offer outside of the walls of our high school currently. Also, I will add, it's not in here. Probably not. So one of the ways too that I can see this also helping our post-secondary success. So we have another area of that. We have college and career. And I did go to the CTE conference at the state level a couple of weeks ago, and that's where I got all these fancy ideas. One of the speakers said, really, you got to think of it two ways. It's college and career. They're not the same. So we're preparing kids for a career, or we're preparing them for college. You can do both, but really they need to be separate. Right now, we have the opportunity on our college side to get kids into a program at Butler with the early college academies, where they could start as a junior, and by the time they graduate from high school, they have their associate's degree. We don't have the resources to invest in that, but by creating this CTE coordinator, I can take some stuff off of somebody else's plate and put this on that plate. I brought my early college academies. And
The opportunity for a couple of years to sign on to that. We just didn't have the personnel to make it happen.
And to do this, how does this help our AFI? Well, one of the measures is students earn a not a graduate degree, but a associate's degree, a 2-year degree. By doing that, they count on that post-secondary success rate as a gold star. I don't know what
That's fine. We'll take whatever we can get, because right now it's an area for improvement.
and the CTE coordinator would be someone that would help us incorporate all of the certifications that we could put in within our pathways and outside of the pathways, which also would help with our AFIs.
They could get an industry recognized certification, that counts as well. If I can say, a district this size, we're behind the times by not having this position. Our surrounding districts that are even smaller than us, but some that are bigger than, they all have these CTE specialists helping drive that post-secondary success. We just don't have the personnel to do it. And so, especially when it's attached to accreditation, and this was something that we were conditionally accredited on, this was something we put our heads together and said, we need this. This is a plan that we can make to start affecting kids now that are graduating. Well, actually, probably the class of 2025 with this position. Mind you, we're looking at data from the class of 2021. So we still have a span of post-secondary effective that we had no control over. But we need to put something in place now. So when the class of 2025 hits, we can see improvement.
Couple of points I would make. One, this is spot on with your strategic plan in the very first item, which is ensuring every student has access to an innovative and robust learning experience from birth through graduation that prepares all students to successfully navigate the workforce or post-secondary opportunities. So it is spot on with your strategic plan. The second piece is this is a teaching position. It is not an administrative position. They would be following the teacher salary schedule, and based off of years of experience, that's how they would be hired. We're not looking to hire. It's not administrative at all. They would more than likely be working normal 178 days. They may get asked to have to work a few extra in the summer that we would have to follow the negotiated agreement in regards to process. But this is not an administrative position. It is a teaching position. And that's the type of person we're going to look for, somebody who has experience in this area, has connections in this area, and understands CTE. So it'll be very clear that it would fall in the teacher salary schedule from a cost standpoint. So probably you're looking at that $60,000 a year range.
So Jillian, do we have in our job descriptions, do we have elementary education, middle school math? Do we have a CTE write-up that says you need a master's degree, electrical engineering? I mean, do we have something that says what a CTE specialist is?
We do not. However, as job positions are coming open and we're posting positions, we are updating those job descriptions. So we definitely can work on that. Oh,
I have one for you if you want to look at it later.
Well, I guess if we're headed down the railroad tracks, you're,
The rest of us do.
It's not in the,
This
it's on the
a
book.
position that's easier to hire in March than April as well.
I don't think there's really, Shane, I'm going to defer to Shane on that one, but I think this is a position that when you look at filling it, you, more than likely, you're going to probably find somebody internally that's really good or an external person that's another district that wants to move to a larger district that has the experience. So if you guys want to approve it tonight, we wouldn't, we wouldn't argue that, but it's one that we can get by with, another month if you want to think more, need more time to think about it. Greg, you had a question. I want to.
well, I mean, typically we have a job description
That's right.
and then we need, you know,
Yeah.
we're approving a new position.
Uh-huh.
And we don't have that paperwork. I understand the first one. We know what a business teacher is or speech teacher or whatever. But this is something that
He's new.
approving a blank check, blank piece of paper without job description.
Sure.
Yeah.
That, and
Understand.
I have a hard time doing that. Not that we don't need the position, not that we might not find it in interviews this weekend, but I think we need to, you know, have something in our binder, you know, that says what a CTE is. We describe every other position, custodian, the superintendent. We don't have anything.
It's not motion to approve it now anyway. So Jillian, is that something that you could work on? And that way we would have it as part
Yes,
of
it sounds like they've
the
already
session
started
minutes.
it, but we will get that finalized before the March board meeting.
Well, we're headed that way. That's why I was asking the question. If they wanted approval tonight, just like the previous one.
Well, I think that we would agree with you that we would. need
Yeah,
that.
I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
And we'll get it to you before the meeting, so you'll have it,
Yes,
a chance to
great.
read it prior to and understand what it is.
Yeah, and ask questions since it
Yep.
will be brand new.
That's,
So,
that makes sense.
okay.
Okay.
Any other questions, board? Thank you, Mr. Sealy and Mrs. Reed.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to 8.0 discussions, report items. So Miss Debbie, future agenda items and board calendar, please.
The flag salute will be led by Nelson Elementary. Enrollment, will come to you as a first reading. The principal and assistant principal contracts will come to you as a consent item. The 24-25 district calendar proposal will come to you as action. USD 261 Booster Club update will come to you. There will be, the request for the CTE specialist position. Haysville High School alternative scheduling will come to you as a report. Handbooks will come to you as a first read. Temporary summer help will come to you. Capital outlay will come to you as a first read. The free breakfast program will come to you as an update. Summer extra duty compensation will come to you. I think you had the barn bash tour or report tonight. Mr. Hirsch, is that right? The barn bash tour was tonight. And that's all in March. April, the placement will be Tri-City Day School. The LEA BIB application for federal flow through funds. SPED will come to you. ESB membership renewal and legal assistance fund will come. Handbooks will come to you as an action item. The proclamation for teacher appreciation will be in April. And graduation and promotion dates will be given to you.
A lot to cover in the next 3 to 4 months.
Already tired.
So you're already.
I'm already tired.
Okay, with that, we're gonna move on to 9.0. We do have a couple of executive sessions. Board, are you interested in taking a 5-minute break prior to?
Yes.
Executive? I've got a bunch of yeses and a 1 no, so we're gonna go with yeses. So it is 9:15. Yeah, we'll come back at 9:20, but I do think that we need to go ahead and do our first.
And it would be for 10 minutes. The first one will be for 10
The
minutes.
first executive session will be non-elected personnel to protect the privacy and interests of an identifiable individual. It will be the board, Mr.
Jillian.
Hirsch, Jillian.
Mr. Craig.
And Mr. Craig. And that will be for 10 minutes. So we will adjourn for now till 9:21, 5 minutes, give the board 5-minute break, and then we will go into executive session. Thank you.
Not since
Second.
six. No.
Jeremy.
I just knew that she was in the hospital.
Right.
I remember. So I did emotion. Very low. I
Okay.
didn't know.
And if Jennifer makes a
She
motion-
said. six.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm just
Oh, were we
texting her
supposed to
any
vote on that?
updates. I was afraid that I would miss the presentation.
We
but
did.
She said the
Well,
doctor
she
says
kind
that
of
you're.
took a vote.
The only thing that's moved is the one on Grand and everything else is, I didn't know if it was interest rates.
All right,
Or what
it is 9:21, so the board is back from a break. We are going to go into executive session. We'll need to revote this board, so. Yep, sorry. Non-elected personnel to protect the privacy interests of an identifiable individual It will be the board, Jillian, Jeff, and Mr. Craig. And we will be in for 10 minutes, starting at 9:22.
Second.
Motion by Jennifer, second by Courtney, all in favor? Thank you.
amount of the position cost from general funds, the social worker position FTE portion.
The board is back
This
from executive
amount.
session. We are going to request another 5 minutes in executive session on this first issue. The board plans to return 9:38.
Second.
That's motion. All in favor? Thank you.
real honest with you.
The board is back
But
from
Like we did.
the first executive session. We'd like to go into a second executive
like I
session
said,
for
just to say-
negotiations, matters relating to employee negotiations.
But
Whether or not
I don't really-
in consultation with the representative or representative of the body or agency, this will include Mr. Hirsch, Mrs. Macias, Craig Ryan,
That's it.
and that is all for
20 minutes.
20 minutes. Second by Courtney, all in favor? Thank you. Be back at 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock. Great. Hey, Jeff. Your job goes to Jennifer.
Oh, yeah. you don't-
Call my wife, tell her I'm.
Oh, and Angie.
Hi, sweetheart. Are you lovely?
All right.
Excuse me, again and again.
Yep. So it is 10:01 and the board has returned from executive session and we will adjourn the meeting. Thank you very much. I did it twice. I did it. What? I was supposed to hit it twice. Hit it.